Hello, good evening. Welcome to Talkin Kop. It's me, Chris Brack. I'm here with my friends Kev and Ashley. Liverpool have unfortunately got out of the European Cup, losing 4-1 on penalties, losing 1-0 the night. Ashley, all round, just a bit gut-wrenching, really, but it was two very evenly matched sides. I mean, literally had to go to penalties to separate them. And yeah, it's just a bit of a sickening, really, unfortunately.
Just a bummer. I mean, I think every single one of us here made sure that we pointed out how good PSG were in the pre-match content that we did. I know a lot of fans, a lot of people that were in the chat were saying, we're being too hard on them. Like, we're giving PSG too much credit. They are a very good team. And honestly, like that's the most evenly matched game that I've seen all year. I think we're unlucky to not progress, but I think once you go to penalties, it's just a flip of a coin. And I'm upset with some of the penalties. I'm upset with some of the performances. We're going to go through it in detail. I don't think anyone is giving anyone a pass, but it's just, I'm annoyed. We're like everyone on the panel is annoyed. So, try to keep the chat civil because I think we're going to go through it with a fine tooth comb.
Yeah. I mean, look, we know it's going to be tough, Kev, and I can see in the chat there are certain people who amazingly I've not seen in the chat for probably since the Villa game. It's amazing. They only appear when Liverpool don't win a game, and they're apparently a part of our fan base. It's comical at times. But listen, what's your initial feeling about it, mate?
I feel sick that we've gone out. I hate going out to penalties anyway. Penalties are a horrible way to go out. But over the two games, don't think we can really argue. I can argue too much. There's fuck all between them. Ali made some really good saves. We had pressure in the first half, couple of chances. Didn't work Donnarumma anywhere near enough overall in the final third. But I thought everything up to the final third I was happy with. I was happy with the risk that we took, the gambles, the press that we forced them into playing the balls early. It's a gamble when you're taking those kind of risks because you're leaving space in behind and they're going to get chances. But I wouldn't have minded if it was the case that they won on the game on the night and it was an absolute belter of a goal. It was a fucking shit goal.
It was an awful goal.
It was a shit one.
It was awful.
In fairness, when you look at the first leg, we absolutely mugged them in the first leg, so I can understand. It's turnabout's fair play. So we mugged them, and they had a fucking fluke. And the rest of the game, it was like two boxers just matching each other punch for punch. And at the end, you go out in pens. Yeah, penalties weren't great, but you know what? Take it on the chin and move on. There's cup final at the weekend, and there's a league to be won. Not going to fucking live in misery.
Well, no, exactly. It's not like that's the season done, if you know what I mean. So,
fuck me, no.
No,
I mean, there's plenty of sides in the Premier League this week that their season hinges on what happens in Europe. I don't know how many times I said it, but this was the cherry on the cream and the icing on the cake for this season. The league was always the focus, and that always is. So if you're walking away with a league title and potentially a cup on Sunday, potentially, fucking delighted with that. Anything you get in Europe is great, but odds are PSG will go very deep in this. It'll take a very good side to beat them. Are they beatable in this? Yeah. I think Madrid probably have the savvy to beat them. I think Atletico, if they go through, have the street smarts to maybe give them a good run and the striker to give them a good run. And Barcelona, from what I saw tonight,
they were very good tonight.
You mean Lamal? He's a joke of a footballer, an absolute joke of a footballer. So look, we'll see what happens with them. But for us, I thought everything up to the final third I was happy with. Final third, we really weren't at the races. It just didn't fucking click for whatever reason. Poor deliveries into the box, poor runs in the box, bit of luck with Kwanzaa's header. That it's small margins, and that's what it is. You're in a knockout game in the Champions League against they're two of the best sides in Europe. There's no doubt about it. There's a reason why we're strolling to the Premier League, and there's a reason why they're unbeaten in their own league. and it's, it took penalties to separate the two. So
listen, look of
don't
the
be
draw.
a cry-arse about it.
Yeah, this is look at draw. It's unlucky. You finish top of the group and you get 14th in the league. No one expected PSG to be finished 40 because they had a slow start. Them's the breaks. Sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't. You would have had to play them at some point. But that's just the way it is. I mean, I was probably a little surprised actually with the starting lineup, but I think we all thought there might have been a little bit of a tweak in the lineup, maybe going forward midfield, or maybe like a Darwin might have started rather than a Jota. But both teams went with same 11s again. Liverpool started well in the first 12 minutes until the goal, and then I think PSG were the better side for the rest of that first half, and then I thought second half Liverpool kicked back into gear again.
Yeah, I mean, for the first 12 minutes, I thought, oh my gosh, like I can't believe we're going out with this much kind of gung-ho energy, and we were really peppering them. We were hitting them in a way that we did not hit them in the first half. I mean, there were a few times where the ball was so close. There was a couple of blocked headers. There was a Salah shot that was blocked. I mean, just in general, the energy was there. The sucker punch that was the goal, I think, just deflated everything. It deflated the team. It deflated the stadium. And I honestly think that after that, we completely lost our goal threat. We were talking before we came on air. I think this game, more than any other game that we've seen, shows the areas that we need to strengthen going forward. Because where we are right now with, forwards that are half fit, that are out of form, we have players that haven't scored in 3.5 years in the Champions League. We have other players that are playing up there that haven't scored any goals at all this calendar year. We were lacking that cutting edge. I was so surprised by the lack of shots that we put in. I don't know. I'm struggling to come up to terms with this because it was such a close game in the sense that I think that we matched up really well with them. I'm frustrated because we didn't see the cutting edge that I know this team is capable of. And it just feels like at this point in time, we are so heavily hinged on Salah because the rest of our forwards are just out of form or coming back from fitness at the wrong time. And we just don't have anyone else that we can depend on. And I look at their forward line with envy, and, obviously it's something that we can work on going forward. We have great attackers, but I think I just come away from this thinking okay, we actually saw sort of what was behind the curtain. We all have this illusion of this great Liverpool, and we are really fantastic, but we are not a perfect finished article. There are things that we can work on as we go forward here. And I think that this game, more than any other game this season, kind of highlighted the little areas that need tweaking. They don't need changing completely. Nobody needs to get thrown out with the bathwater, but I genuinely feel like there were some highlighted areas of concern for me.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Kev, I mean, we've done really well at the in the league. We're top of the league by 15 points. So let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, as Ashley says. And we always knew in the summer there were going to be tweaks made to this squad. It was never the finished squad. I think the impressive thing for Slot is how probably far ahead they are, as in probably no one expected Liverpool to be in a title challenge this year, apart from Matt. But Matt thinks we're in one every year, and I think it's just look for a draw. I get people disappointed. We're all us three are all good. So we don't.
Nobody enjoys coming on here after.
No one's coming in and talk about. But it's just the way it is. It's hitting the rough with the smooth. But I think too many here are I could see in the chat are too quick to now bury every player. This player's grabbed, that player's grabbed. I've always said to you, this player's grabbed. There's got to be.
Let me tell you this, right?
You've got to give them the flowers because they're also a very good side.
Off the ball, in over the full 120 minutes now, I thought off the ball, we were really good. I thought the press was brilliant. I was really happy to see us in a 4-2-4 and with the fullbacks pressing high up, with Konate jumping into press them high as well, forcing Donnarumma to play it out a touch multiple times. It was just on the ball, cutting edge in the final third just wasn't there tonight. Above all nights of the season, it deserts you. You don't want it to to desert you in a knockout game of the Champions League, but it did. I thought Diaz over. I thought Diaz had Hakimi on toast for most of the night. His final ball into the box was poor, but then he looked up and who's in the box? You're looking to pick out nobody. I thought they defended their box really well. You say that last week when we were over there, Alisson played a blinder. Tonight they defended the edge of their 6-yard box with last-minute tackle, blocks, throwing themselves at it. Donnarumma coming and getting a fingertip on balls. It just went well for him. It was poor from us. We weren't clinical enough in the final third, but I tell you, I was delighted with you see the first 10 minutes of that game. When you think about how we played in the first 90 over at their place, where we were passive, we sat off, we allowed them to dictate through midfield. That didn't happen at all. We gambled. They got their goal from that, by the way. It's no word of a lie. We didn't really play with a 6. We played with 2 8s supporting Dominic Szoboszlai in a 10 role. And Dembele dropped deep, found the space. They timed the run well, got the ball back into the box, and a scramble. The only thing I said it to you guys at halftime, the only thing Konate can do, if he goes with that with his right leg and tries to put it out, he probably clears it. But if he goes for that with his right leg blind while he's on the ground, he probably takes Dembele with him and gives away a penalty. The only other thing, Alisson has to go to where he thinks the ball is going to be at Dembele's feet. He has to anticipate that Konate is going to clear it. So Alisson is out of the game. And it's just unfortunate for Konate that he didn't get a good enough contact on the ball for it to go out. Dembele stayed on his feet, hop, skip, and jumped, and he gets a tap in. I just looked at the first thing I thought was fucking unlucky. It's sickening because we gambled with not having a sitting centre mid who would have picked up Dembele dropping into that space. But we gambled on that to try to force them to turn over the ball higher up the pitch, which for the first 10 minutes they were. They were flustered and they didn't know how to cope with it. And that's where the game turned on that one piece of play by Dembele to drop deep and pick up the ball. And I honestly, at that stage, I did not expect this game to be finishing 1-0 because we were just we were pressing them really well. I thought we could force them into making mistakes. And I always thought that there was a chance that they could do something on the counter as well. That's why I said last night I thought it'd be 2-2 on the night and we'd go through with the goal that we scored in Paris. But hey, it is what it is. But yeah, it is down to the final third. Ultimately, it's the hardest thing in the world to do is score goals. And I thought overall in the first half, especially, Mendes did a really good job on Mo. Didn't allow him 1v1 very often. And when he did, he matched him for strength and for pace. Salah was better in the second half when he allowed the ball to do the running. And he was making runs off the ball and he got more involved. But some of our lads played really, really well over the game as well. Unfortunate with some of the injuries. I think some of the changes that we made, the subs, where at the weekend the subs made a massive difference. I don't think the subs that came on tonight had the positive effect we'd hoped they'd have.
Some were forced, weren't they? The Trent injuries.
Some were forced. The Trent one looked serious. That looked really painful the way he went over in his ankle. And hopefully the Konate one is just cramp. Because when he was walking off, that leg looked as stiff as a board when he was coming off.
Yeah. Luckily, I mean, we've got like a 4-day. He's got 4 days off now before the final. Yeah. So I mean, that I wouldn't worry about Konate too much. But I think it's also. I think for subs, it was a hard game to get into because I mean, their subs did okay, but I wouldn't say they were. I think Doué, I think, was their best.
Oh, look, he's a star. They paid €50 million for him.
You can see why.
18 years of age. I think he was 18 or just turned 19 when they signed him. They paid big money for him. And more often than not this season, they've been playing him as part of a midfield three, where he supplements the three forwards that are already on the pitch. They don't normally use him as a winger. And that just goes to show where Luis Enrique thought the game was. You know, Enrique was looking at it saying, okay, we've got to do something with the midfield. We have to keep the midfield stiff. The changes that he made were up front, you know, to try to make something happen with, you know, the three forwards. But most of all, don't lose it, because as it went through the second half, we were just piling on pressure. It was just wave after wave after wave, and it just wouldn't fucking bounce.
Yeah.
Szoboszlai one where he cracked it, and I think it was Pacho got in the way. It was definitely going in. Donnarumma was never getting anywhere near it. You know, there was another one in the first half, I think. It might have been Salah, actually, got a shot off, and it was half a deflection that went out for a corner. Konate's shot that was going in, Donnarumma saved it with the top half of his hand, or the top half of his arm, and it just fucking bounced off. It's tiny, tiny margins, and we're talking about a completely different game, you know? So It's not like we got battered pillar to post and you go out and you're like throwing everything at the screen, because like it's just not what we recognize. I thought up until the final third. No, we definitely
got outplayed.
No, 100% we
didn't. There are some
didn't.
people that are chatting like we got outplayed. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that we stood up to a very good side. I just think that, you know, when it comes to like the game changers, we didn't quite have the people that were just going to push it over the edge. You know, and that team looks like what it is. It looks like a team that's been fortified with a lot of really smart signings of the last like year or so. Like to be able to pull Kvaratskhelia in the middle of the winter window, like he's an amazing player. I said it on the last pre-match or the last post-match. He's an amazing player. You know, like you said, like 50 million is not a cheap, like it's not a cheap person to bring in to have sitting on your bench, like especially at the age he's at. I almost look at that as, you know, I hope that that's what we're doing in the summer. I hope that that's the kind of recruitment that we are looking for in the summer. And I think there was a super chat in there from Daniel saying, you know, it's still Slot's first year. We can't forget that. And it's looking like a massive summer for Hughes. We need improvements. I think, like I said before, this shows the areas that, you know, we do have a very strong squad, but, you know, we are coming to the tail end of the season where, you know, some of the players that we all back as squad players because we know and we love them, they aren't necessarily the game changers that we need in this level of competition. And I think that there will be more games in the future, probably next year. I think other teams will strengthen. We will need to up our game as well.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, the one sub I thought did well for us was I actually thought Kwanzaa did really well playing out of position at right back.
Yeah. He looked very good.
And for the ones who think Trent can't defend, I thought him and Kwanzaa, when they both came on, kept Kvaratskhelia really quiet, and that takes some doing because he still got an odd, you know, fabulous shot off. But I thought Kwanzaa actually did well. He was so unlucky with his header inside, you know, the inside the post. You know, they're the ones where, you know, if you look in, there's your header. You know, which they probably would have deserved on the second half performance. I just felt actually I know he'll be the hero of that because he saved 2 penalties. You know, it's the life of a goalkeeper. You know, everyone forgets everything else about it. But I felt most of the game, Donnarumma was quite shaky, and I felt there was an opportunity there to put
into dangerous areas.
Yeah,
and I was surprised that we didn't have anyone there to get on that.
Yeah, we just didn't pile the pressure on him enough. No,
we didn't. I don't think we took enough shots. I thought we were being very safe, very risk averse, and I get that because they're really great on the counter. I would have liked to see a little bit more of a cutting edge. I just would have liked to see us maybe test him a little bit more. I don't know. That's such a big thing to say. I think everyone wants to see their team shoot more often at goal.
They had their best moments of that entire game in the second half of extra time.
Yes.
Second half of extra time, they were right on top. They dominated the ball. They were in charge. They had more shots by a distance. We didn't get a shot in the second half of extra time at all. They had 8. All right. Overall in the game, They had 21. We had 19. But as I said, they had 21. 8 of those were in the second half of extra time. So for anyone who thinks that they dominated tonight, they fucking didn't. I don't know what game you're watching if you thought that Liverpool got dominated tonight. It just didn't fucking happen. The stats don't play it out, and nor does the eye test. But the one thing that they were that we weren't was on the counter. They got more counters more accurately. They got their counters more accurate, and they got better chances as a result of it. Alisson was forced into some good saves, but they weren't saves that you wouldn't expect him to make. You know, there were saves that you would expect Ali to make. You know, but when we had the chance of a counter, there was one counter that we had that sticks out, and it was from their corners. What I said last night, I thought we would be really dangerous from their attacking corners, and we had Ali come and claimed it really early, and there was 5 on the break, and we just fluffed it. And a lot of that, in fairness, was I think it might have been Pacho got back and slowed everything down. He just managed to do enough to slow everything down for others to be able to get back and break up the counter. But it was like, yeah, I think there's definitely issues there in the squad that this will almost definitely be addressed in the summer. But this PSG side are a year ahead in their progression. Last year, they went further in the Champions League than what they were expecting. And a lot of their rebuild was in place last season. They were bedding in the likes of Barcola last year. They were bedding in a lot of their players that they'd signed last year, the younger lads that they got in. So Slot is looking at this now. He's assessing the squad. We all know it. You know, everyone is going to be assessed over the season. But decisions will be made around players. Some will like, some we won't like. But you expect us to kick on from this next year. You know, it's our first season. We weren't in the Champions League last year. You know, we're back into it this year. We will be back into it next year again. And you fully expect us to be better for this run and more confident from it as well, especially with the way our league form is. But there's definitely, it's always worth thinking in the back of your head, this isn't the finished article by any stretch.
I think we needed to see this, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think
this
we
is going
needed
to
see where the shortcomings are, because I think if you look at this, if I'm FSG, and I'm not nearly, I don't have the power to do that. But if I was FSG and I was looking at us in the league, I'd be like, well, what's the problem? We're 15 points clear. We don't really need anyone. I mean, I'm oversimplifying. I think when you look at a game like this, you see where the shortcomings really truly are. I think it's very easy to see some of the performances that we have in the Premier League that paper over some of the cracks. And there are players that, you know, Slot is using out of position, that don't necessarily fit his system, that, you know, that just aren't necessarily what he would like in those positions. There's areas that we can improve. And I think we need to see this team, like, I don't want to say suffer, because I don't know if they suffered today. I think they just kind of stuck in it really well. But I think we need to see where this team is in relation to the rest of the teams in Europe, because, you know,
that's fair, actually, when you think about it.
I think that's the only way we're going to get an accurate representation of what we truly need.
Because look, I mean, Arsenal for Life is in the chat there saying basically not beating PSG isn't for everyone. Well, yeah, you have a point. You know, Arsenal did beat them earlier in the season, but
you did, and they were not the same PSG, and I don't care. Yeah. I understand for fans' sake, it's great, but
let's be honest about it. We're not getting tested in this league. You know, largely because sides like Arsenal are nowhere near it. Yeah.
To know what we actually need, because we want to be winning these competitions. This year, I am so happy with a league trophy. I really am. And I think everyone decided that was the focus. It's more than we could have hoped for. But if we are going to progress and we want to take this into the true Liverpool 2.0, I think that there are shortcomings. I genuinely do. I think that there are areas that we could strengthen.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But I think look, I think we'll see what's up. I know people like to jump on we don't spend any money in FSG, that yada yada yada. We've heard this trail before. I'll be amazed if they don't add to the squad in the summer, and I think we'll see players leave because new manager has a new way of doing things. Look, I know people are saying how long does it take to assess the squad. Well, he got Moxon back in pre-season. He's assessed it. He's obviously looked at players and what they can do and can't do, and he's obviously now seen. And it's all right saying, "Oh, we know how busy the Premier League is. We know how hard it is doing the Premier League and Champions League." Till you experience it, and I think a lot of managers, Klopp said that. Most managers who've come to the Premier League have said experiencing managing the Premier League is very different to what you think it is from the outside, and that's when you do then reassess your squad and go, right, yeah, okay, what I thought would be enough won't be if I was competing on more than one front. So let's see what's going on.
Yeah,
I mean, and go from there.
If you'd have turned around to anyone on here, anyone who talks on this channel, anyone who's in the chat there now, if you'd have said in September, right, I'm going to give you a league and a League Cup potentially, you'd have snapped their hand off and you'd have been drinking since August. You know, you have to look at. Actually, do you know what? The more I sit and think about what you just said, you're so fucking right. You're so right. Could you imagine if we'd have gone on and won the League Cup, won the Champions League, and then Arne Slot turns around and says, right, I'm going to rip this side up now and I'm going to bring in my players. Talk about a rod to beat yourself with. It's ridiculous.
And there's an argument to see that would happen. I mean, we know that FSG wants him to work within his means and, take players and make them better that he already has. But, just like when we went out that year with Karius, and I hate to think back to that. And this doesn't feel quite as harsh as that. But when we went out to that Madrid team, we reassessed thoroughly and we looked at the squad and we said, there are areas that we can strengthen. And I don't think that was a finished product squad. I don't think we're a finished product squad now. I think there are areas where you can take certain players and say, yeah, you can be upgraded. And that's going to be really hard. It's going to be really hard for us as fans because I think they might be some fan favorites. I think that there might be some difficult decisions that come up in the summer, but if we want to actually see the next evolution of this team, I think there's going to be hard decisions that need to be made.
Yeah, I think so. Listen, the way Slot needs to look at it is if he ends up winning the Premier League and hopefully a League Cup in his first season when it's a squad that's still developing, happy days. That's what you want. And then he could point to saying, well, if I want to compete in the Champions League as well and retain, this is what we need to look at. Listen, don't worry about that. So it's all if, buts, and maybes. And like we said, we don't know who's staying in terms of the contracts. That'll have a big bearing on things and who's going. We'll worry about that when it comes through. Let's sort of talk about individual players. Look, player of a tie for us is Alisson.
Yeah,
comfortably. He was absolutely immense in both games. Even with the penalties, probably apart from the first one, he wasn't getting really any of the others. They were such good penalties in the corners. No one's getting near that. So, in terms of the back four, I thought Robbo was good in both games, as was Trent. I actually thought the whole back four did well. Kwanzaa, when he came on, I was absolutely fine with. Endo did his stint at centre back. Midfield, I think that's probably an area where they'll think off the ball. I think they did well protecting Liverpool, but I think we struggled a little bit probably on the ball at times. Partly
I think Gravenberch, the game passed Gravenberch by a bit.
Yeah. And maybe for him that's the learning
curve. He was stuck between a rock and a hard place because I don't remember too many times this season where we've asked him to not play as a 6. Where we've gone with a midfield 2 and said, right, you're 2/8. You really push up and you supplement the 4 forwards that are on the pitch. And the fullbacks didn't tuck in either. You didn't see Trent coming inside. So the midfield was open. And you were getting them coming at you 3v2 most of the night. I think he struggled a bit with that. I thought McAllister was fucking excellent. So he was everywhere. He was so good on the ball, so composed, defended well when he needed to. I thought some of his ball retention was very good as well. managed the booking. It was a booking, let's be honest about it. But it was, I thought he played really well. But yeah, from 4 pressing machines, off the ball, worked so fucking hard. I thought Diaz had Hakimi most of the night. I thought the only thing that was frustrating, it wasn't working for Mo in the first half. I really wanted the ball shifted.
I thought
more.
Nuno Mendes was fantastic over both of
He was very, very
both
good.
of these
He was
legs.
very good.
Absolutely had Mo Salah.
Although in the first 10 minutes, when Salah nutted him and he went straight in, I thought, oh, hello, here we go. Salah's figured him out now. He can draw and go short to spin in behind and what have you. But over the game, I think he had Salah's number. But yeah, look, up front, there are nights when games are really tight when you need your striker. You need your striker to find a yard of space. And Jota had 3 efforts.
Neither one of them stood out.
Yeah. No, they didn't.
I must admit, I was surprised Jota started.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised.
I
I
just
don't think he trusts Nunes to do the defensive work that was needed for that first kind of 60 minutes of intensity. I think like PSG are so man-to-man. They're so technical. I don't think that Nunes is the kind of person that's going to come back and like cut off passing lanes and do that heavy press that we were doing in that first 60 minutes. I think that's what Jota, it's the grunt work that Jota does that isn't flashy. I think he does that better than Nunes. Yeah. Nunes absolutely holds the ball up better, but I don't think that's enough of a trade-off in terms of slots mentality into like for who he chooses.
Yeah. But I think that's the flip side. You needed him to hold the ball up a lot better than what he did.
Neither of them are the striker that Slot needs. They're both like halfway houses. And I think if you combined them, you'd have the perfect striker.
But at the same time, he's not naive. He's an experienced striker. He's 28 years of age. He knows his game inside out. And he knows how to hold the ball up. And he knows how to run channels. And it just didn't work for him. And you could say he was marked really well. I don't think he was. I just think that it wasn't his night. He's had games like that before for Liverpool where a ball bounces in the box and he bangs in a couple, But tonight it wasn't his night, and that's ultimately that is the. I'm looking at the two sides. They defended really well, but it's the number 9. Dembele had the one chance. And
I thought even Doué looked more dangerous than our number 9.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
and he wasn't even playing as a true number 9.
He didn't play as a 9 at all. He played wide. This is the thing. You look at their front 3, and even the changes they made. Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, Barcola. None of them are 9s. They don't really play with it. It's like, if you find yourself in that position, then you're the 9. If you find yourself on the wing, you're the winger. And all 3 of them can do each job really well. They're that flexible. That makes marking them 10 times harder. But we weren't. It was Darwin didn't do it either. When he came on, he wasn't. He had moments when he was. You could tell he was stronger and he was physical. There was the one ball over the top. Do you remember when he was slightly offside and he stopped, and then Diaz stopped? It's like, for fuck's sake, one of you just risk being offside and just go and get the ball. Sometimes he lives in his own head too much. But yeah.
I don't know. I don't really want to get on the Darwin hate train because I think there's plenty of people that are going to use him as sort of like the.
He's not the
reason we lost today, but he's going to be the target of a lot of hate. I'm upset with him, but I don't think he's the reason we lost.
No, I think he had one chance. He had one chance tonight. He had a shot on target. That was it.
I just don't think he's the answer for us. As much as I love him, I love the chaos, I love the moments. He's not our answer.
No, he's not. But he's what we got.
He's what
Him
we
and
have until
Jota
the end
are
of the
what we
year,
got.
and I think we need to back him for that for sure.
Yeah, he is what we got. But it's definitely the one position that for now, well, it's one of the few positions that needs to be addressed for the summer for sure. But we knew that. We were saying that. We've been saying that for a while. You know, it's not new.
No, I think it's a shame
like,
that we're gonna probably spend the next 24 hours just seeing his name plastered across social media. And I think if you're gonna do that, just can you pull yourself back and just take, give your head a wobble, because he's not the reason we lost that game. He's not. He will be the target, but he's not the reason.
No, he's just, there's always a stand of people with the easy targets, but look, that's the same.
Do you think we could? The one thing I think we didn't do, I don't think we took enough shots from distance.
No, which is surprising.
There were.
I don't think we took enough shots. Full stop.
Well, we had nearly 20.
Yeah, I suppose that's where you miss. That's where you miss Gakpo. And unfortunately, Gakpo not being fit, that them's the breaks. But he does like that cutting, and he's very good with shots from distance. Someone's likely to stop doing that. But we've definitely got players who can ping it from distance. So, we just didn't create those options really. So let's go through the quotes, and then Ashley, let's do Ashley corner.
All right. So Virgil was asked post-match about the Carabao Cup final. He said, "If we play with the same intensity as we did in regular time, it's going to be a beautiful game." I think that's true. Couple little facts are sprinkled in here. Nuno Mendes had 21 out of 27 duels that he won versus Mo Salah's 6 out of 22. I mean, it's obviously a defender versus a forward, but still, striking fact. Mo Salah has played more games without scoring against PSG than any other opponent in his Champions League career, which is 4. Mo Salah tonight moves level with Gerrard for the Champions League appearances for Liverpool at 73. Only Jamie Carragher, 80, has more for the club in the European Cups. We're just flying through these here. PSG's first half XG of 1.97 is already the most any visiting side has recorded across a full game at Anfield this season in all competitions. So there was definitely a level of dominance that was reflected in the numbers there. Curtis Jones is only the second Englishman to miss a penalty in the UEFA Champions League penalty shootout, along with John Terry in the 2008 final. Alisson made 16 saves across both legs against PSG, excluding the penalty shootout, the most by a goalkeeper in a UEFA Champions League knockout tie since Manuel Neuer. For Bayern Munich in Real Madrid, both had 16 saves there. Continuing, Andrew Robertson has played 3 games now for LFC on his birthday, and he has lost all of them. That's probably the saddest stat of the night. Happy birthday, Robbo. He is 31.
Poor Andy.
Poor bastard.
31, but today was not his day. He did play really well, though. I'll give him that. Anyways, back to the quotes. Virgil was talking about Jones and Nunes. He said, "It's part of football. I said to the boys, chin up, get ready for the next challenge, a beautiful one at the weekend." Slot was asked post-match. He said, "The first 20 to 25 minutes, we were all over them and created chance after chance, but then we went 1-0 down." He continued, "It feels a bit unfair to go out in this round already. If you were top of the table and face a team like PSG, this is also the nice part of football, ... I think everyone around the world enjoyed watching this game. Last week we had a bit of luck, and today we didn't have any." He continued, one of the reporters was very clever. They asked Slot, is this possibly the last time that we see 3 of these players play their last game for LFC in the Champions League? He replied, "That's the last thing I think of right now. It's a creative way to come up with a contract question."
Fair play.
Slot continued, "Normally you have to face these teams in a semifinal or a final, but unfortunately for us, we had to face PSG, one of the richest clubs in the world, in this round," which is an interesting thing to point out here. There was a couple of pictures of Mo Salah in tears at the end of this match. So for anyone that said he was not interested or didn't care about this game, he absolutely did. Unfortunately, though, he failed to register a goal contribution in 220 minutes of football against PSG, which I think is the longest he's gone this year without a goal contribution. This was the super chat that we mentioned a little bit earlier, saying this is still Slot's first year. We can't forget that. It's looking like a massive summer for Hughes, needs improvement. I think this is a really good point. And I think, we have to remember that Slot has not been at this level of the competition very often. So he's learning, he's figuring it out on the job. A couple quotes from Enrique at the end of the game. I think both teams deserve to go through to the next phase. We overcame them in Paris. They played, I think, better than us here. He continued, I think my team saw here in Anfield a special place, a special stadium, great personality, great character. We tried to play our best. It was very difficult and it was so intense. Going back to Slot now, he said, of course, it's a shock and it's maybe not the moment to tell them now, but if you have to go out to one of the best teams in Europe. He said he would be surprised if Trent played in the Sunday League Cup final at Wembley, which is a blow for everyone. But Konate is not expected to be an issue. He was subbed due to tiredness, which is a relief.
Yeah.
He continued, in the second half of normal time, we looked fresher and better, and there was only one team, in my opinion, looking likely to score a goal. He finished, these are the margins we talked about. We came really close, but I have to give credit to PSG as well. On the UCL campaign as a whole, he said, I do feel at the end of the season, how we represented ourselves in Europe is important. This season really showed ourselves. We won 7 games in a row. So, he's not looking at it as a negative. I think he's looking at it as a positive. I think this was a luck of a draw game. Once you go to penalties, it's a flip of a coin. It really is. We could quite as easily be sitting here talking about how much of a masterclass it was for Slot to get through, this really tricky tie. And it's a couple saves either way that just, they went again against us, and it's frustrating. We're all frustrated, but I don't think the game plan was off. I don't think the team was 100% off. Like I said earlier, I don't think we got outplayed. I think this is football. Every once in a while you get a scenario like this, and that's what happens. And you have to kind of take your medicine and move on. And maybe look at the positives if there are positives,
This would be, I think for Slot, this would be probably an eye-opener for what the squad needs, but also maybe for him, he may reflect on this going, is the things I could have done,
was
build
he
up
too
differently.
Conservative in the first half? Or the first leg? I don't know.
Yeah, because could he have done, he may have looked at tactical stuff next time, going, actually, next time there's a tactical tweak I could do differently that I think would help, and that sort of stuff. So, that the best managers learn from these setbacks and bounce back from them. So, that'll be his challenge for next Champions League campaign is, how can I go one step further? How can I overcome this sort of situation again? Is it rotating more? Is it, just tactical tweaks? Or is it, like you said, maybe certain players on the bench that he would like to be able to rotate more? And some of it could also just be, sometimes you just got to bounce the ball. Kwanzaa's headers half an inch the other way. We're all sat here going 1-1.
That would have been so.
Yeah, you sat there going, it's 1-1, cracking. That's all we need to do. We're happy. That's how close it is sometimes.
That's how fucking close it is.
It's a couple of blades of grass one way or another.
I mean, look, and people will look at the penalties. I'll never, ever go in on a player for missing a penalty on the penalty shootout, ever. Because I would never in a million years have the nerve to stand there and fucking take one. I know I wouldn't. And anyone who says it, I doubt it very much.
I'm a little bit annoyed with I think he got the pick of the numbers wrong. Like, I think Mo Salah goes first 100%.
Yeah.
I think the fact that Jones has no penalty experience whatsoever. Nunes is a wild card.
Yeah, he does.
Jones
he?
does.
Not in the Champions League.
In the League Cup, he's won 2 League Cup. He's done it in 2 League Cups.
I'm talking about the Champions
2 League Cup finals, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think
I think the penalties,
more experience.
If you're going to take him, you got to get him into the corner. You have to.
Yeah.
Against a guy who's 6'6", who's notoriously a really good shot stopper, you have to be in the corners. And Darwin's one was a perfect height. Jones' one wasn't in the corner. You look at, I think it was Dembele's one, went to the same side straight after Darwin, and it was into the side netting. curled it with his right foot into the side netting. It's those kind of small margins. Alisson wouldn't have had a chance getting anywhere near it. You know, I mean, but again, it's when it gets down to that, and I don't think it's so much luck. It's better technique on the penalties.
It's also mentality.
That's all it is. Yeah, I mean, we've won our fair share of penalty shootouts.
I think it's only the second or third in our history we've ever lost. I think we've lost the Europa League one.
I know Rodgers. I've watched at least one recently that we've lost. I mean, not recently as in like this year.
I remember the Europa League with Rodgers. Europa League with Rodgers, we lost in Turkey in a penalty shootout. And that felt like quite a rarity.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, normally our record for them is quite good. So, you know.
It's a splitting hairs thing though. Like if we're sitting here talking about penalties as the reason we're angry with the squad, I don't think that's the right thing to do. No. I don't think it's the right thing to do. I think, you know, we look at this.
There you go. Oisin's right. League Cup 2021. That was the other one.
Okay, so that's the one that I'm probably thinking of that's still kind of fresh in my memory is an irksome thing.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
I mean, look, it's sore. It's raw now.
Yeah.
It is fucking raw.
We're trying our very best
we're
to
all
be like relatively positive about this.
Well, it's easy enough. For me, it's easy enough to be positive about it because, like I said earlier, we didn't get outplayed. I was happy with how we played up until the final third tonight. I was really, really fucking happy with how aggressive we were because I was terrified that we'd stand off them again and try to defend the 1-goal lead.
I thought that was a little bit kamikaze at the beginning. I think I sent you guys a message. I'm like, this feels like we're playing with fire the whole time.
Oh, you are. But it's risk and reward. You win the ball high. The one thing that they were really good at tonight was getting back into shape really quickly. And if we can win the ball high up the pitch, they can't reset. But you have to turn it over really quickly and get at them really quickly. And that's the gamble. And I'm glad we we were 1-0 up and we gambled. And for the majority of that game, we needed Ali to make a couple of saves. But I honestly think it was the right approach. I think it was the right way to go over this game at home. Because, one, I don't think the crowd would fucking let you play any other way. I think they'd have been sickened if we tried to play on the back foot and tried to play on the counter against this side. Because you're inviting them to have efforts and they will get it right eventually. And then it's really hard to pick up the pace. Whereas if you start out with the right intensity like we did from the off, you get punched in the gut and it was a sickening gut punch. But at least you're up to the tempo of the game that you want to play at, and you can hope that you can work a chance and make something happen. Thought the set pieces were a bit frustrating because we definitely had the better of them aerially, and you know it was like you know it's just frustration. It is pure frustration. I'm annoyed. But I'm not going to fucking lose my shit over it. Can't. I'm too fucking long on it. I'm too long on it.
I mean, if you look at the way that Enrique and Slot talked post-match, I mean, that quote that you just threw up, you know, where Enrique basically said either of the two teams could have gone through today. We both deserved it. Perhaps we deserved it slightly more over 2 legs. Perhaps. And then Slot kind of in this, like, very quickly, he said, it was the best game of football I've ever been involved in. I don't have the history like Liverpool as a manager. Both of those coaches knew that was a full 100% effort from their team. That was an excellent game. And one team was going to lose, and whoever lost the game tonight was going to feel incredibly aggrieved. Like if PSG had gone out on penalties, they would have been like, what the actual fuck? Because the number of shots that we've put on goal and the number of times that Ali has stopped us, they would have felt absolutely aggrieved. We feel aggrieved because that's kind of what we did today with Donnarumma, where Donnarumma was playing out of his skin and he had a fantastic game. It was very much a tale of 2 keepers. You know, this whole 2-legged tie was a tale of 2 keepers. And sometimes you just have 2 really, really evenly matched teams. And I think that's what you saw. Like, to be able to talk about PSG in such glowing terms, we matched them stride for stride. And we're sitting here saying, oh, we need to tweak this, we need to tweak that. But if that's kind of the best that Europe has on offer, we just matched them stride for stride up until basically a coin toss at the very end. And if that's what we're doing, we're splitting hairs. So I'm not angry. I'm just, it's a sucker punch. To lose like that, it's a sucker punch. But I'm very proud of the team.
Super Chat here saying, fans gave shit to Donnarumma and he came up trumped when it mattered. Would Kelleher have been more useful in the shootouts? But we didn't have a sub left to use it anyway. But listen, last shootout Ali played in was a cup final and we won it.
He wasn't getting it. Yeah, Kelleher wasn't getting anybody.
No one's getting near those penalties. Probably the first one's what he probably thinks he could have got.
I think he got a slight hand on it, but it was just timed really well.
It's been like that Jorginho slow one, isn't it? They don't look great. They don't look great, but the other three, no keeper was getting near there. They were excellent penalties. So he's got to suck it. He's got to, as we said, he's got to take our medicine tonight, and it's rubbish. But
well, in fairness, that is the silver lining, is that you guys are going to get to see a parade when you're in Liverpool.
Yeah. The parade's going to be on Monday, which is exciting. And I'm going to take that because honestly,
take the baby wins. Take the baby wins.
Oh, it's still a big win, isn't it?
And there's another trophy on offer this weekend. There is, and it's a blow to have Trent out. I'm really gutted for him that he's going to miss that.
2 finals running, he's missed it.
I think Sunday is a lot easier to get up for now.
I hope so.
Yeah, because you want to bounce back from.
Yeah, I think Sunday is an awful lot easier to get up for now for the players. If they'd have gone through tonight, they'd have been bouncing and they'd be like, yeah, we'll stroll in. Newcastle are under strength and they just got over the line against West Ham last night. But here we are on a Tuesday night, having had to go to penalties, picked up a couple of injuries along the way, got knocked out. This will be a real test of this squad's character going into Sunday.
And you know what? We're going to see some fantastic games from now until the end of the season because you've got the ability to go full throttle.
Yeah.
And just maybe set a new points record, maybe do whatever you can. I mean,
do you remember what I said in one of the previews to this? I said, if we go out, that they'll reassess their Premier League target.
They will.
And the target will be 97 points. And they'll do their level best to try to get 97.
And you know what? We can do that while also being really mindful about how we treat the players and making sure that in terms of keeping them out of the red zones, things like that, we can do it in a way that we've got a little bit of wiggle room there. In terms of making sure our squad is in the best place for next year, which I know there's so much to play for. But in terms of not actually burning out our players because we're fighting on all fronts, there is something to be said for that.
Yeah, I mean,
we've seen what happens to this squad when we go for multiple trophies at the end of the year. And again, I would much rather be in the trophy situation. But again, I'm looking for silver linings. And there are players here that I think, I'm glad that we're not going to have to rush Trent back for something, for example.
I'll tell you what, Jason asked a question there. Any chance of Salah still winning the Ballon d'Or? He deserves it?
I don't think he'll win it. Generally,
especially if Barcelona go on to win it, I think
the winner of the Ballon d'Or tends to be a forward who wins the Champions League.
Yeah.
So, and to be fair, Dembele and Rafinha are also having very, very good goal scoring seasons.
I think Rafinha is going to be a really good shout for it.
Yeah.
I think he's had something like 29 goals this season so far.
Credit to him, because when he left the Premier League, I was like, there's no way that he's going to reach the levels of hype that people have given him. He has absolutely reached the levels of hype.
He's really kicked on this season.
He's really
kicked on this season. Yeah, he's been really, really good.
Yeah. So sadly enough for Mo, I don't think he will. No. I think it tends to be the Champions League winner.
And I think he knows it.
I think he knows.
I mean, that doesn't stop him from breaking records. There are records there for him to smash and make sure that his name is there for years and years to come. And he'll be in the conversation. He will. He'll be in the conversation. And there's a world where Barcelona go out and then all of a sudden he's back kind of in that conversation. So I don't think it's over and done with. I don't think it's not the sure thing it would have been though.
The lads there are having a discussion. Did Enrique play without a natural 9 in charge of Spain? No, he played with Morata mainly. Morata played an awful lot for Spain.
With an iron then.
So they literally played with a focal point 9 a lot. The only times he didn't was, I suppose, the odd time when he tried David Olmo. I don't know if he was around at that time, but I'm pretty sure he played with Morata mainly as his 9. But no, it is what it is. Look, I'm tired. It's been a long fucking day.
That was a really, really hard watch. Like,
your nerves it's stressful, isn't it?
My nerves were so shredded.
I was stressed. I was stressing when the first whistle was about to go. I was kind of nervous.
I don't know. I don't. Penalty shootouts, one of my biggest pet peeves. I absolutely hate them. I'd never go into them feeling confident, ever.
No.
Today was no different.
The game has to be decided
somehow. I'm watching like that the whole time.
I'll tell you one thing. That's actually a really good shout. Villa versus PSG. Assuming Villa go through. Villa versus PSG will be... I'll tell you what.
Villa's pace, though, will cause them problems.
I think they crush them.
I want to see how Morgan Rogers, plays in that game. He's one I really, really like to look up.
I don't think their defense is solid enough. I think they've got a kind of a defense right now. I know Emery's really good at these cup competitions, but I see their forward line just tearing them to shreds. The way that we were able to stay disciplined is something I don't think that Villa backline have. And I don't think we punished them nearly enough when we played them, but the chances were there. These forwards are better.
Who do you think wins it? Who do you think wins it from here?
I mean, I would not be surprised if you saw an all Spanish final between Madrid and Barcelona.
Yeah, I feel like the winner of the Madrid game wins it. I think
Bayern will have something to say.
What was the final score in the games tonight, by the way? I didn't. I just had zero interest.
Bayern won 2-0, so I think they were 5-0.
Yeah, Inter won 2-1.
I mean, if PSG gets to the final, I think it's deserved. I feel like it's old heads at Madrid. If that is what happens at the end, I think the old heads get it done. I don't know. I can't see past a Real and Barca final.
I hope Barca win it. I hope after their antics, after Hakimi's antics tonight, I hope Villa beat them. I hope Madrid beat them. Any one of the two. I hope they win. Fuck off.
I don't want Villa to beat PSG though, because then everyone's going to be like, "Oh, see, Liverpool couldn't beat them. They weren't that good anyways." I genuinely think they are a good side.
Yeah, I just look at the Premier League table and goes, "Yeah, mind the gap, lads. Don't get a crick on your neck when you're looking up at royalty."
I don't know. You know what? I'm just looking forward to being in a parade with Jurgen Klopp and just enjoying these guys.
Oh, yourself and Jurgen, bosom beer buddies for the weekend.
I would love that. Please make it happen.
He can show you around Liverpool.
Yes, please.
So you could do the murals. You could do the mural tour.
I would love that. Yeah, please.
No, but was it Chris the Red Lion with Jurgen's one on the side?
Yeah, I think it's the Red Lion. Yeah, there's a massive Salah one down there as well.
Yeah,
the Salah one's great. The best one is probably
in the chat. He rolled out a PSG banner in the middle of Anfield. So
the center circle. Yeah, he rolled after the penalty shootout while they were celebrating. He got a big, huge PSG banner and laid it out on the center circle at Anfield. And then the cop in its infinite wisdom shouted, "Where's your European Cup?" So for all their money that they've spent and for all the talent they undoubtedly have and have had over the years, they've yet to get the big one over the line. And I hope that continues.
Yeah.
Well,
not that I'm sour or anything, but fuck.
Yeah.
I think we're all a little bit sour. I'm trying to look for the silver linings. I desperately am. I know we come on here for like a therapy session, and it's therapy for me as much as it is for everyone in the chat. So, again, I'm looking forward to the trophies that we can still win instead of this one. So, on to the weekend. Bigger things are coming.
Yeah.
Great things are coming for this team.
I'll tell you one thing. I cannot fucking wait to get this league.
Are you
Cup
sure you don't want to come
done and dusted
at the end of the year, Kev? Are you
I can't. But I can't wait to get this League Cup won. Forget about football for a fortnight. Watch some internationals and chill and just do a bit of player watching, and come back and smash the fuck out of Everton, and get this Premier League running off to the fucking the best possible start.
We're gonna have weeks off. That's gonna be amazing.
That'll be silly.
Yeah.
We'll find loads of shit to chat about. Don't worry about that.
I know. Well, rest of the week then.
I know. I would much rather be in the competition, but we just
ain't. Fuck them.
Yeah. So anyway,
I want to have a drink now.
Yeah, the rest of the week tomorrow. Gav, Ashley, and Kev are going to talk about the title swing and just a general chat about the title race. And apparently, so you're down, Kev, for doing a show tomorrow. So well done. And then having a break Thursday, and then we've got 2 shows Friday. We're going to do a League Cup preview on Friday. Well, when you guys are, I'll be at Anfield watching the women play, and then we'll do post-match reaction after the League Cup final, and then the guys will be back for the usual Sunday show. So listen, keep an eye out. We're
plenty to look forward to.
Yeah, we're on Patreon as well, so keep an eye on the Patreon stuff, because that's going live 18th of March. So all the member stuff will be on the Patreon app, and the free stuff like this will still be on YouTube. So until then, sadly, Liverpool European dream is gone for another season. But listen,
one minute. We got to mention Peter Smith, who is friend of the show, friend of the channel, former contributor, going to be a contributor again, is starring as Phil Lynott in a tribute show at Vicar Street in Dublin. Sold out in April. The next show is in June. That tickets are selling really quick for that. So if you're going to be in Dublin in June, check the dates. If you're going to be there, support the guy. It will be a really cracking night as well. There's also a show in Limerick, and he's also starring in a film. The link to the film is it Red's? What's the name of the film? I keep forgetting.
Red Alert Spain.
Red Alert Spain. The link for the trailer is in the description. So check out the trailer. That film is coming out later in the year. So give it a like. Give Pete a follow on his socials as well. Tell me that you've seen it. Code Red Spain. Code Red Spain. So yeah, but all that good stuff. Like, comment, subscribe on the YouTube channel. That'll still be going. Patreon there's going to be a free week as well. So if you want to sign up for Patreon, you get a week's trial free. And if you want to keep it up after the week, you can always go back and watch the shows that we've already done. There will be more shows dropping while you're on your free trial. If you want to keep it. I think you will. If you don't, then let us know what you would have liked to have seen that would make you want to stay. But yeah, fingers crossed you like it. There's loads of stuff. There's loads of stuff that we can do in Patreon that we can't do here.
There's so many new shows too. Like if you're just a YouTube subscriber or watcher, like we've been able to expand our repertoire to shows that we would never be able to do here on YouTube. So some of the stuff that we've been able to create this last couple of weeks sort of to test on Patreon, that's all there. So if you're interested in testing it out, maybe just try it before you buy it. There's some great new content on there that we're really excited about. So hopefully you are too, and share feedback, because again, it's all kind of new and it's stuff that we're throwing out there. So we'd love to hear from you. If there's any sort of comments or suggestions, it's another way for everyone to get involved. And it's been really good so far.
And breathe.
I know.
Relax.
Right.
It's done for another year.
Yeah. Keep an eye.
Still, another trophy to go for this weekend.
Yeah. So one more cup final this week before we have an international break. So fingers crossed the Reds bring the League Cup home on Sunday. Until then, take care. Speak very soon.